for taking the time to sit down with us.
Well, maybe she's standing. We don't know.
I'm standing is a better.
Sally, you are the absolute best. I'm shaking right now. I'm so excited to be talking to you. Thank you so much. Both Jenna and I grew up with your show. We're going to talk about much more than that, but we can't start without acknowledging your iconic, groundbreaking talk show. Hello.
Hello.
She's like, please, I've talked about this for the past 20 years.
Before we even get started, I just want to thank you on behalf of our generation because, Sally, you kept us company every day that we were sick from home or sick from school at home. You always kept us entertained, made us feel just a little bit better. And so I think everyone from our generation would like to really thank you for that.
Well, isn't that great? I really thank you very much. That's very sweet of you.
Now, let's talk about what you're doing these days. I know you've got a brand new show. I'm a huge fan. It's on YouTube called Sally Jessy Rides. And that's where...
No.
What, you don't want to talk about Sally Jessy Rides?
Oh, I don't mind talking about it, hon. Here's what it was. It was a pilot, and nobody bought it. Nobody cared.
Oh, I cared.
Well, that's one listener or viewer. We did it about 4 or 5 years ago now, I think. And actually, since I was fired by NBC Universal, I probably have made about 7 pilots.
Whoa.
And so none of them sold, not one. Not one offer of a job. So what I did was I put all these pilots in the back of my head, but it isn't a show and it isn't on currently, and nobody cared is the answer.
Well, maybe they will after hearing this.
I love doing it because I love her.
Who's her? Oh, Jinx Monsoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Exactly.
You're also a big fan of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yes, of course. Yes, definitely.
I like that you're very open and honest about nobody picking up the show, because even a huge star like you, Sally, it's good for people to know out there that, it's not all roses, even if you're successful.
Oh, my dear. You know what's funny? You do little interviews and things, and you get checks from, because they're union. I'm a union person, obviously. So the other day I went in and made the deposit at the bank. And the bank looked up, the guy looked up and he saw me and he recognized the name. And he said, "You're Sally Jessy Raphael." I said, "Yes." He said, "Here's a Warner Brothers check for 69 cents. Here's a Disney check for $1.03. Here's a check from something about the devil. I don't even remember what it was. And it was 34 cents. So the whole thing came to under $20. Oh, and he said, "I hope you don't have to live on this." And I said, "No."
Salt in the wound, buddy.
That's the kind of funny things that people... The other funny thing that people don't get is every once in a while I'll be pushing a cart in my supermarket, which is at the end of the hill where I live, called Hannaford's. And I'll be pushing the cart, and somebody will stop me and they'll say, "Sally." And I'll go, "Yeah." And they go, "What are you doing here?" And I go, "Well, I needed a cantaloupe." And, they can't. I don't know who they think buys the groceries. I think they think there's 20 little, devil minions running around buying groceries for you.
Well, there should be, Sally.
When they see you in a site like that, they go crazy sometimes. So,
well, let's talk a little bit.
Funny.
Let's talk a little bit about your life now. You live on a farm.
I do. It's not a working farm any longer. We do have chickens and we barter locally the eggs because they lay more than we can possibly use. We did have cows and livestock, but you got to milk those suckers twice a day. And nobody wanted to run home and do that. We have horses, but they're just riding horses, and we can't bear to, get rid of them. They've been part of the farm for 20 some odd years. So that, and we're in the now planting a more limited garden than we have had in prior years. It takes very little land to raise a lot of vegetables. Anyone who's tried it gets very surprised by the output. It's more than one family can eat.
Wow.
So that's what's happening here in the spring on the farm. I'm looking out the window at it. It's a beautiful day.
Sally, have you ever compared farm notes with Oprah? Because she's got a vegetable farm too.
Does she? I didn't know that. Where is it?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't
her
been there.
giant estate. Who knows where that is?
Yeah. She hasn't invited me over yet.
No, she's not somebody I've ever talked to except on the air. I've never talked to her privately. No, that's not true. Once, about 30 years ago, I guess, I was on a bike in the gym at the Peninsula, and I looked over, and she was on the other bike.
Oh.
But aside from that one, I've never talked to her privately.
Have you talked to RuPaul privately? You mentioned RuPaul's Drag Race.
No, never talked to him privately.
All right, but you've talked to Jinx Monsoon. Is she your favorite drag queen from the show?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. No comparison.
I don't know how you can pick a favorite off that show. Every season, there's just so many great drag queens. No, Monsoon is so unbelievably talented. I mean, it's oozing out of every pore. It's just, have you ever seen her one-woman show?
Not yet.
Well, I love going to one-woman shows. Elaine Stritch is probably the best that ever was. But Monsoon is equally as good.
Chad Michaels isn't bad either, the Cher impersonator. He's coming to Ottawa in June.
Is he the one doing Cher on Broadway?
Yes. He's the only Cher-approved Cher impersonator out there.
But there's a Broadway show called Cher.
Oh, yes. I want to see it.
And I have no idea who's playing her on Broadway.
Me neither. It might be Chad. I don't know. We'll ask him.
Yeah, she's now Cher is, again, I can't say anything but the most. She is a great person. That person I've talked to off the air.
She seems so cool. She was just in Ottawa last week. I went to her concert, and she's so down to earth, even after all the success and everything she's been through. She seems so real.
She is real, and she is the best, the absolute best.
I think one of her famous line. Sorry, her famous line that's been going around that she has at her concert is she goes, how old is she, 74?
73.
73. She goes, I'm 73 years old. Where's your grandma right now? And that's kind of her.
It's a good point.
Don't you love that? Oh, gosh, that's so good.
So
anyhow,
you mentioned that you do cycling and all this stuff to stay really active. What else do you do? I think we just want to know what Sally Jessy Raphael does on her spare time these days.
Oh, well, it's all spare time. As I said, you have to be, when I was fired by NBC, my agent, who turned out to be, like they say, agents only get jobs for people who have jobs. My agent sent me a bowl, and he had it engraved, "The best is yet to come." Well, that's bull.
Yeah, no kidding.
Bull. I mean, if this is the best that's yet to come, then we're in real trouble. But at first, what you do when the show ends is you go out and look for another show. As I said, you go. I went to L.A., I went here, I went there, and nothing. People would see me because they were just curious about what I was like in person, but they never really did anything to help or offer a job.
It's tough, eh? It's like when you're down, no one wants to help you.
Absolutely. No one wants to do a thing for you. So that's part of the thing that people have to know, that when you're doing something, enjoy it tremendously, because it might be, the last chance or the last thing that you get. But that's not a bad thing, because then you go and you find other things. What do I do with my time besides being on the farm? This is not terribly pleasant. I apologize, but I have no other way of answering that question without saying this. I'm not in a particularly good time in my life. My husband, I've been married 59 years to one of the funniest great guys who produced most of my shows. And he has medium to advanced Alzheimer's and Parkinson's.
Oh.
So my time is really 24/7. I'm the caretaker. So my time is 24/7 devoted to him.
I know that struggle, Sally. My grandmother is suffering through medium to advanced Alzheimer's as well, and it takes a toll on the whole family. It's not easy.
Oh, yes, everybody, exactly, everybody. It isn't easy. However, I'm sure with your grandmother and with my husband, Carl, there are some very funny things that happen. And you just have to, since my husband was a funny man anyhow, you just have to laugh and make use of the good time for whatever he can remember or do on a given day. For example, yesterday, somewhere, he invited somebody to dinner at our house. Now, it got to be 4:00 in the afternoon. I probably asked him 100 times, who is coming to dinner? What time are they coming? Do they eat? Are they vegetarian?
Yeah.
And of course, I never got an answer. And so I sat there and waited, and nobody showed up.
Oh.
Well, you ate well that night.
Yeah, you had plenty of food, I'm sure.
Exactly. Not only, but the table looked beautiful.
With farm fresh ingredients.
That's part of the funny and not so. And then my husband is only about 3 inches taller than me. So I came down to breakfast this morning thinking, okay, the only thing I have to do is this podcast. And there's Carl sitting having breakfast in my sweater, my black cashmere sweater.
What color was it?
And not only is he having breakfast, he's dribbling eggs.
Oh, no.
On my black cashmere sweater.
Black cashmere.
Right. And it was my best sweater. And I said, okay, I guess we can buy another one.
Right.
I don't know why he didn't notice that it had frills on the wrist. But,
maybe he liked it. He might have really enjoyed it. He felt pretty.
Well, Sally, it's an important message, too, for everybody to be patient with Alzheimer patients, because it's very easy to get frustrated, right, and angry about something like that, and it's glad that you can laugh at it.
Well, the hard thing is the people who don't know.
Yeah.
In other words, you can't walk around with your husband with a sign that says, I have Parkinson's, Alzheimer's.
Right.
So a waiter, for example, at a restaurant will go to Carl and they'll say, and what would you like to have? And part of the problem is they can't make up their mind. He can't, it's all too overwhelming, a big menu. But the waiter becomes very impatient and says, when you guys have decided, I'll come back. And that's the hard thing on the family and on him, of course.
Well, he's lucky to have you, that's for sure.
Oh, well, we have still a great deal of fun together. And
good.
Boy, it sure makes you appreciate the, carpe diem.
Yes,
Yeah.
embrace the moment. Now, you still sound so business-minded, though. You're talking about new shows, you want to create pilots, but a lot has changed since your show when it comes to what's on TV. No, but if you had the opportunity to create your own show right now, what would you do? Out of all your experience.
I guess, well, it doesn't make a lot of sense to think about that because it just isn't going to happen.
Well, she also tried with Sally Jessy Rides. I still think Sally Jessy Rides should get picked up.
Well, we're here, and Jason and Patrick are there, and they produced it. They could do whatever they wanted to do.
Listen, if Betty White can get off her rockers off the ground, then there's no reason that Sally Jessy can't ride. Come on.
You're very sweet. You really, really are. No, but you can be a business person. One of the things I do and have been doing since 1993 is tape. And my mother was a professional artist hanging in, she's in the Fritz, she's in the Boston Museum. She was really, and I could never, ever draw the broadside of the barn, as they say. And then about 15 years after she passed, I was in Cannes, and I was near, I used to live in the south of France. Carl and I lived there for 23 years. And I saw an art store. I went in, I bought a charcoal pencil, a pad, and lo and behold, I was able to draw. Absolutely out of nowhere. So, you never know. So I do that.
So you discovered a new talent that you didn't know you had.
Exactly. So that is something that's great and wonderful and very engaging, and I enjoy doing it a tremendous amount.
Have you ever thought of maybe making a line of glasses frames? You could combine your artistry now in with your trademark.
We tried that, and no one wanted to make the glasses. We really did try.
Well, glasses are trendy now.
I know, I know, but it didn't work out. I don't know. Maybe I didn't have the correct connections or something. But I have never, only once in my life have I ever done a commercial. And that was a commercial where I was, what the heck is his name? Rudy Tooty Booty Cootie. I'm trying to think of his name.
That's a good name.
Yeah, I'm going to. Anyhow, we did one commercial, and it won the award for Best Commercial of the Year, and I was never asked to do another commercial. But I don't like doing things like that. I don't think, funny, I must be very old-fashioned, but whenever I see somebody like Tom Selleck now doing a commercial for you can mortgage your house and ruin the rest of your life, of course, he doesn't say that, but whenever I see something like that, I wonder why the hell would they sell out like that? So,
well, maybe their shows aren't getting picked up. I mean, it's tough out here.
No, Tom Selleck has got everything going, doesn't he? He's in Blue Blood.
Yes. Money makes people do funny things, Sally. I think money makes people do things that they never in their right mind would do if it wasn't for that paycheck.
Do you think Tom Selleck needs the money?
No, I guess not Tom
No,
Selleck,
but the wealthy always want more. They always want more. It's never enough.
I mean, I thought the same thing when I saw Jamie Lee Curtis shoveling that yogurt into her face, and I thought, Jamie Lee, you don't need this.
And what about Alex Trebek? For what the hell?
Alex Trebek, he's from our city of Ottawa.
That is correct, and he's also selling mortgages, He's selling two things, I think, mortgages and something else. What the hell? What's wrong with him? So, I don't know.
So no mortgage
I
or
did it, but I wouldn't do it.
No cash loan commercials for Sally J.
You just don't need that much money. You just don't.
So, Sally, did you set out wanting to be a talk show host? Because I know you started in radio much like we did, right?
I was 6 years old, NBC Radio. We had a show called The Quiz Kids. And that would be 1941, believe it or not. And Dick Van Patten and his wife were two of the other quiz kids. I never knew that till I had interviewed him 50 years later. And he said, "Why do you look familiar?" And I said, "We were both quiz kids at 6." So it was a matter of, I had a show business mom, and that is a good thing.
The original momager.
Well, that's the best thing. If you didn't have a show business mom who made you take speech lessons or learn to tap dance or whatever show business moms do or did in those days, if you didn't have that, I wouldn't be where I was. I wouldn't have had the wonderful career that I've had. So poor show business moms, it's not all gypsy, if you know.
Yeah. Well, and you see that more and more now, but sometimes these stage moms take a whole nother level of crazy. You've got stage moms probably much like your mom who was there to support you as well as make sure you got the skills that you needed to succeed in show business. But then you have these other ones that are all kinds of crazy that will,
but they're the ones that get the publicity. But I think there are many more good. I once interviewed the head violinist for the New York Philharmonic, and his father came with him to the interview. This was when I was doing AM Miami or Good Morning Miami, and I asked him, "Does your father go on all your interviews?" And he said, "Yes, because when I was a kid, he made me practice the violin, and I wanted to go out and play baseball." And he said, "I owe that guy. I owe him a lot." Well, there are a lot more of those kinds of parents who didn't force their kids to do things, but gently found out what was best about the kids, and then helped them to achieve that.
Yeah, you got to go with what works, find their strength, right?
And sometimes kids need just a little bit more push. I remember I was an athlete, and growing up, my parents had to push me a couple times.
Exactly. Every child has a unique selling proposition, something that they either love or do better than anybody else. And it's a matter of finding that and helping your kid to do what they want to do in life.
Important for people, too, once some adults grow up and they still don't know what that natural selling, or whatever that phrase was you just used was brilliant, natural sellable property or whatever.
Unique selling proposition.
Proposition, that's the word.
Well, I always knew that that's what I wanted to do. So, a little known fact, I've acted in about 52 movies under other names.
Oh, wow.
Wearing makeup. It was always a hobby of mine, and it kept me busy a lot. It's not in my discography, or most of them are not, but it was something that was great fun to do. In fact, I'm still doing it, but I never tell anybody.
Oh, Sally, you tease.
Yeah, I know, but that's the fun.
Well, can you give us at least one of your other porn names? Give us give us one of your other secret pseudonyms.
Nope.
Oh, Sally.
We'll never tell. The only time I almost got caught was New Jersey gave me an award for film, the Film Person's Award, about 2 years ago. And I said, how the hell did they figure that one out?
Hey, the internet.
So.
We can find everything these days,
No,
Sally.
it's not. No, it's not on the internet.
Oh.
That's the best. If you change your name and you change your looks, that even the internet doesn't know it all. In fact, the internet knows an awful lot of things that aren't true.
Oh, that's for sure. But I'm just curious, why would you want to use a stage name for these movies? Why wouldn't you proudly say, I'm Sally Jessy Raphael and I'm in this movie? Is it because they were like bad TV movies or what?
No, some of them were, but no, some of them were great. Why would you do it?
Yeah, I'm just curious because I feel like more publicity is better, right?
No, it's just a hobby. It's just a fun thing to do.
Okay.
When I meet a movie producer, I tell him that this is what I do, and then he said, "Oh well, we have a bus driver, who's Italian. You think you can do? It's a 5 lines. Do you think you can do that?" And I go, "Of course, no problem."
It's almost like Sally's a real world Where's Waldo. You can watch these indie films out there, and you never know, she might pop up driving a bus.
And makeup, and you won't even recognize her.
Now, people do recognize, and they call it 3 in the morning. And some of the films I do are in other languages. So they say, "Sally, I'm watching," they say to me in Spanish, "I'm watching this movie. Is that you?" I'm sleeping. Yes, but,
I don't know what you're talking about. That's
it's
awesome.
Fun. It's fun.
That is fun.
And well, when somebody guesses a movie, there's no reason to lie about it, but you don't want to you don't want to tell them all the other movies under all the other names. The only trouble is the union,
Now, it's been a while since your show was on the air. I mean, it's been a long time, and a lot has changed. Do you think your show could work today? Same sort of guests, same,
Yeah, the show that we did in the beginning, the show that we did where we were doing serious topics, women's health issues, ecology. Health and ecology are still uppermost in most people's minds in our country. And sure, serious conversation about that would definitely work. Absolutely. Most television today is just unwatchable. What they call reality has no more reality. It just isn't real.
And before we talk about reality, though, you're right. There's no real show like yours on TV right now. The closest thing we have is Dr. Phil. And I can't understand why talk shows like yours went the way of the dinosaur. I loved them.
I know. I had no idea it was the decision. Well, first of all, I was sold out by 2 or 3 of the producers on the show. I wanted to do things that were interesting and serious, and the company owned Maury and Jerry, and they wanted that kind of who's your baby daddy?
Trashy topics.
Yeah, but you know what, Sally,
So,
you used to have a variety of topics, not just baby daddy, but like, I was ugly in high school, look at me now, and I have a secret to tell my wife. Eventually, they all started to go to the baby daddy stuff, and it lost the variety and excitement that your show had.
Same,
Yeah, it did. But the director, the producers who wanted to keep their jobs would tell the company, oh, we'll make her do these trashy shows. And maybe I'd do a few, and then I'd go back to insisting it was that we were exploiting people, because that's what that kind of television is. It's exploitation of people who aren't as educated or who aren't like you. So presumably you're supposed to laugh at them. And I find that disgusting.
Yeah, and that was one thing I always loved about your show and you as a host, was that you genuinely cared about your guests. You genuinely cared about their well-being and about giving them the help that they needed. And you always seemed so genuine.
Well, I got you fooled. No, I'm just kidding.
I knew we'd get along with her just fine.
But, I do keep in touch with quite a few of the guests.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if Oprah does it. I don't know if anybody else does it. But I do. And, of course, we had a moment in their lives in common. And it's proven to be... I've gotten their children's baby pictures, if you can imagine such a thing.
Oh, that's great. It's so many generations, right?
That's right. It's kind of nice, as a matter of fact.
Well, it's very generous of you to stay in touch with some of them, because it was, you're right, a life-changing moment for them, for sure. And I'm sure it means a lot that you still reach out.
The hard thing is that a lot of people want to know if I can give them a copy of the show that they were on. And unlike Oprah, I was a hired hand. I got a paycheck on Friday, and I didn't own and don't own any part of any of the shows. But they don't know that. So they keep asking, my father has passed on, and my mother said he was on your show. Can you please send me a copy of the show? And at the beginning, I used to ask NBC, is there any way we can get just a little cut of any of those shows? But they want so much money.
Ugh.
They want a tremendous amount of money, and these people don't have that kind of money.
Well, and they're not looking to profit off of the footage. They just want it as a memory, as a keepsake.
Of course, but they won't do it. I gave them an idea about twice. I said, look, while I'm still lucid, why don't you let me bring back some of these guests, show the old show, and let me find out what happened to the bad girls who went to boot camp, or let's find out where they are today. And they said, that is the stupidest idea they have ever heard.
What? Everybody loves those updates. Oh, my gosh.
They absolutely refuse. Now, they have sold the show to, I think it's called Newsy. I don't know much about it. I think it may be a European English or something channel. They've sold about 12 of the shows that they keep rerunning. I don't get any money out of it. As I said, I didn't own any part of it. But
well, that's the trouble with the internet now too. A lot of them are online. I know that when you agreed to do this podcast, Jenna and I stayed up until the wee hours of the morning watching old Sally episodes because we were so excited. So there's a lot of them that are on YouTube. So maybe that guest could find her dad somewhere.
But you know, Sally, I think your idea of you coming back and hosting a reunion show, especially with some of the most memorable guests on your program, and that was the guest itself. But I remember the boot camp directors that would come in, and I would love to see what those gentlemen look like these days.
I'd love to see what happened. I'd love to see what happened to these people, but NBC Universal wouldn't love to see what happened to these people, so there's nothing I can do. I gave up, I think his name is Fitzgerald, Vice President of Programming, or Linda Fennell, who was once one of our producers. She turned it down. He turned it down.
I like that you're dropping names, Sally. Keep dropping those names. Mm-hmm. Call them out.
Oh, honey, I do. I call everybody.
What? I'm just curious because Jenna and I we had our show canceled. It wasn't as big as yours. A very similar way. They don't give you any explanation, no excuse. Thanks for coming out. Bye. Did NBC give you a reason, or was it ratings, or what was it?
No. Oh, you mean when they fired me?
Yeah.
Oh, when they fired me, they said that the show had slipped in ratings, and they were afraid that it was going to slip some more. Believe it or not, it was at a 4.8 that they were worried about.
And that's pretty good for people that don't understand the rating points. What's the highest you can have?
Well, you could have everybody in the United States, I guess, 300 and
Well, I guess I'm wondering, what is a 4.8? What does that mean? Percent. Oh, percent.
That's 4.8 million people.
Wow, 4.8 million. That's awesome.
Now, anybody daytime would kill for that number.
Yeah.
But that's them, and they wanted to go in the Maury and Jerry direction. And as I said, I couldn't look myself in the mirror and do that kind of programming.
You know, I'm processing the 4.8. It's crazy because I just read Robin Williams' biography, and Mork and Mindy, when it was hitting 2 million people, it was considered like the biggest show in the United States. And I know that was a little before your time, but still, like if 2 million is the biggest show in the country and 4.8 they're saying is a slip, come on now.
Can you imagine? Well, a little bit of trivia. Probably the biggest rating that any show has ever gotten was Amos and Andy, and I think it was the trial. I don't know, was it the trial of Amos or of Andy? It was, or maybe Ruby Begonia. Every single town in America had radio turned up at gas stations and on street corners and in parks, and something like 3/4 of the entire population of America listened to Amos and Andy on that particular night. And I think that's probably the highest rated show there ever was. I'm not sure. It's like people saying, who made the most money in television? And, well, who do you think made the most? Who had a show?
Rosie O'Donnell.
Oprah?
Nope.
Ellen?
Not Oprah, not Rosie O'Donnell.
Sally Jessy.
Nope. Nowhere near.
It's not Jenny Jones.
Oh, no. It might have been way back, like
No, not
Johnny
way
Carson?
back. Nope.
She said woman.
Oh, woman. I have no
Joan
idea.
Rivers?
No, I didn't say woman.
Oh.
I said who made until, well, still makes
Carson.
the
then.
most money.
Not Carson?
No.
I have no idea.
Don Francisco, Sábado Gigante. He has a show on every Spanish station in the entire world called Giant Saturday. His name is Don Francisco. He's, I think, Chilean. And I may be wrong. I do think he's Chilean, and he has always been the highest paid person on television.
Good for him.
Or not.
Take that, Oprah.
Yeah. And Rosie O'Donnell.
He could buy and sell Oprah.
Wow.
That's how good he is.
Now, before we let you go here, I think everyone wants to know. Everyone here wants to know, too. I had a lot of people write in when they heard we were interviewing you. And one of the things is they want to know what was the most memorable part of your show. And that could have been on the screen or behind. You know, for me, it was always reaching out to people saying that we helped change their lives or, you know, help them be happier. But what was the most memorable part of you hosting your show?
Wow. Probably. Well, it certainly isn't winning an award. I got 2 Emmys. I had one of the statues. I lost the other somewhere in the move. But yeah, I never found it. But I always think that all of those things are fixed. All the award shows are fixed, and if we had a lot of time, I could explain how it was done.
Well, we got time for that if you'd like to give us a little summary for sure. I'm interested in that because I would think winning an Emmy, Sally, it must validate you more than anything. Like, wow, now I finally made it. Like, that's the top of the TV heap. No?
No, it doesn't mean the same thing, no.
Okay, tell us why.
Okay. When it's the person who gets the most votes for that segment of the industry. Let's see. Let's say it's a talk show. Let's say Oprah has 300 employees. Let's say I had 200 employees. I'm making these figures up.
Yeah.
Wouldn't 300 people vote for their own show and 200 vote for their own show?
I see what you're saying.
Oh, I get it now. It's nepotism.
So who
sort of, yeah.
Who would win?
The people that voted for their own show.
Of course, and wouldn't the person wouldn't the show that had the most employees win? Of course.
Does it work that way for like Grammys and Academy Awards too?
To a different extent, and I said it's too boring to go into. But yeah, it works.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's because everything's usually voted up from a board, right? And if the board is filled with people that worked for X show or whatever movie or are friends, then they're getting the vote.
Best costume. Yeah, like in the Academy Awards, makeup is voted by other people who are makeup artists.
Yeah, it's kind of silly when you look at it that way. The unfortunate thing is that regular people don't know that, right? So it looks wonderful, and they count on that.
Well, no one's going to tell you that because these stations make money off these award shows.
Well, we're telling them now, Sally. We're telling them now. Sally, have you ever had a stalker?
But I'm not a cynic. It's just that...
No, you're telling the truth.
Yeah, there are things that are stupid. People ought to know they're stupid.
Have you ever had a stalker?
You know, it's like that. What is that, Survivor? I was watching when they first went on the air, Survivor.
Yeah.
Now, you belong to a union. The union has got to provide the people who are on a show with a setup for food, and you have to work just so many hours. You know, that's the way the union is. So there's somebody out in the middle of the jungle on television saying, I'm starving. I've got to learn to fish. I have no food. And there's the cameraman standing in front of her eating a hot dog or a hamburger. They just got off the food wagon. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Look behind the curtain a little bit, huh? I'm determined to get my answer about the stalker. Have you ever had a stalker, Sally?
Yeah, I had a stalker. I don't know what became of the stalker. It was when I was somebody. You see, they never tell the celebrity about the stalker.
Oh, so you had your people intervene.
No, I didn't know the person was stalking me. It's the company that said this person is stalking Sally. And I was traveling, I think I was in San Francisco, and I was staying in a very nice suite, and I opened the door, and about 4 doors opened at the same time. And I said to myself, aha! Well, 4 people don't decide to leave their room at the same time. Those have got to be protection. So that's all I knew about the stalker. I knew nothing else. Didn't tell the person anything.
Wow, I'm surprised they didn't even tell you were under that much security. Like you'd think, I guess they didn't want to scare you, right?
That's correct. They didn't, while I was working, they didn't want to scare me. Correct. But I guess everybody has had something like that.
Well, even Jenna had one here on the radio in Ottawa.
Yes, I did. I had a man follow me home twice.
Scary stuff.
Really?
Yes. That would be a great topic for a talk show. Stalkers, because they are scary.
What did you do, Jenna?
What did I do?
What did you do, Jenna?
I told my boss, and then I had to call the police, and he was breaking into my car, too, and eventually it just stopped. I know.
See?
I told her I wouldn't do it again, but, and I haven't.
Oh, God. Dear me. Well, you've been fun. Jason said these people can be very edgy. So I said to Jason, when I get on the air with them, I'll ask them to do something edgy.
All right.
So I'm going to ask you, the 2 of you, do something edgy.
All right, we're ready.
Okay.
Bob, what are you going to do?
What are we going to do?
Oh.
We have to come up with something edgy. Well, what are the topics we were going to, because we had a couple topics to talk about.
No, not me.
And one of them was this new thing about men, especially men, sending unsolicited pictures of their genitalia.
Right.
And did that ever happen to you back in the day?
Do you know any woman in the world who would be turned on by a picture of a penis?
No, Sally. Thank you for saying that.
Well, if you knew who it was attached to, maybe.
It's just not an attractive part of the body.
It doesn't work that way. It doesn't, guys. It doesn't work that way.
It's
it
just,
really doesn't.
It's not an attractive part of the body. Am I right, Sally? Like it's just
absolutely ugly as sin.
I disagree with you, women. I'll be over here with my own opinion then. Sally, one thing, by the way, the late, great Joan Rivers is one of my favorite people and celebrities in the whole world. Did you ever meet her?
Oh, I knew her quite well, yes.
Okay, well, the reason I bring her up is because she liked to talk about sex, and one thing she'd always say is that it does not go away just because you get older, and she had a very active dating life up until the very end, and she hated when people would be like, oh, yeah, it's dried up down there, because she'd joke about that in her act, but yeah, no, she was a big advocate for sex over 70. Do you subscribe to that?
I think whatever you want works. Whatever works for you works. That's that.
Just don't send dick pics.
Anyhow, Joan was, again, somebody who she was very interesting in that she, at least, I must have gone to dinner with her, I would say about 10 times, not a lot, but 10 times, and she didn't talk.
What do you mean she wouldn't talk?
Funny. She didn't talk. she was quite quiet and didn't tell jokes and didn't talk.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I know she was very like business minded when she wasn't working, so maybe she didn't. Hey, oh my God!
Sorry, so sorry, Sally.
We had one of the dogs peeing on
That's all
Jenna's
right.
purse here.
Oh, Jessy has two.
That happens.
Do you like dogs, Sally?
Oh,
Jessy
I love
has
it when mine pee all over the damn house.
Jessy has 2 chihuahuas. And so far, the one peed on my rug at my house and then just peed on my purse. So I don't know if chihuahuas are real dogs. What kind of dogs do you have, Sally?
I have often pincers.
Oh!
Small dogs cannot be trained.
No, they really can't. This is the last time they're coming to
Are
a
those like
recording,
short
that's for
men
sure.
too? Short men, they can't be trained either.
Oh, I think short men are very sexist.
Oh.
Well, yeah, and then sometimes because they're short, their penises look even bigger.
No, penises don't look good to women. All right, that's enough, Jen.
All
Go
right.
about your business.
Thank you so much
Love
again
you
for
both.
keeping us so entertained today and all those years. We really appreciate you.
Thanks a lot, Jen. Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Sally. Weird interruption. Bad boy.
Why are you peeing on my bed?
I had that phone on Do Not Disturb. How does call waiting come through on Do Not Disturb? I
It's
don't
okay.
understand it.
It'll easily be able to take away from.
Yeah, guys, for future, whenever there's a delay on the phone like that, just
Oh, I
let it
know.
happen. I can close that, and happily we'll close that in editing. That's super, super simple.
I just never know. It's like if I start talking and then I hear her still go, it's like, oh, do I stop? Or
Yes.
do you just power through?
I think if it's Sally, Jessy Raphael,
You stop.
You stop. It's all right.
We did a couple times, but yeah, I'm curious to hear how that sounds.
It'll sound amazing by the time I'm done editing it. You won't know. And by the way,
We got really
the
good
levels
stuff.
of your headphones for her sound really, really low because she's not in the room.
Yeah.
So you don't have that Emmy.
Get outside. It's real leather, right? That's probably why. Smells like an animal. Oh, then what would it smell? Yeah, because we got him fixed at 6 months, so he shouldn't even be like wanting to do that.
He's showing off with the cat.
Oh, could be that too. What'd you think?
Oh shit.
I think we got some really good stuff.
He was calling because the show is on the air that shouldn't be on the air.
Oh no. Which show? You know, it's like that thing when we used to have callers and the delay, and it's like we would just push through. But like sometimes we'd be halfway through a question when she'd start up again, so I think it was okay. Funny, she wanted to talk edgy, and then we brought Dick one too many times. I gotta go. I knew I shouldn't have brought these dogs. I wondered. He's never done that before. It must be because a cat first in it. Which of the two do you think will be shorter, headlines or Brittany? Headlines.
Are we doing live for Brittany?
Oh,
We don't want to do it if Juno comes halfway through, right?
yeah, so headlines.
What time is it?
3:05.
Okay, yeah, we'll start right away.
Susie's bored. So,
What show was playing that shouldn't have been?
show I used to air called Dark Corner of Radio, which I've deleted all of the episodes of, but somehow it exists in a category somewhere, and I can't find it. And every now and then it comes up. My countdown show is supposed to be on there.
Yeah. And it just like decides to play it
sure you're not the only one.
Joey thinks someone took his T-shirt because he had it on his chair and he went pee and he came back and it was gone.
Really?
But I mean,
Was it a Madge T-shirt or?
it was like this. But his name was Ida Wrote Him Harder. But he's like, don't say anything because they'll think I didn't care and I just left it there. But he really wanted it. But I'm like, it's okay. We'll go next